also have to admit some kind of vulnerability there, because although we want to say that we are not addictive when it comes, for example, to our phones or reacting to this notification or this bell icon or this like, we still do subconsciously, right? And I think having like a 24-hour dopamine detox isn't helping long term, but it's kind of leveling out the dopamine
right.
exposure.
So yes. So I mean, I think to understand this, it's important to understand what happens in the brain when we repeatedly consume high dopamine drugs. And by using the word drugs, I'm also talking about behaviors like video games, pornography, shopping, sexting, blogging, doom scrolling, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that as we ingest these high dopamine substances and behaviors, our brain recalibrates what neuroscientists call neuroadaptation and downregulates its own dopamine production and its own dopamine receptors in order to compensate for this influx of really high dopamine stuff. And with repeated use, what we essentially do is just basically shut down our dopamine factories such that when we're not using, we're essentially in a dopamine deficit state, which is akin to a clinical depression, where nothing else is enjoyable and only using that drug gives some kind of relief. We don't even get high anymore after a while. It's just sort of like a way to feel normal. So the antidote or the solution to that problem is not to keep upping the ante, because you can't keep going forever. But instead, as you say, to abstain from that substance or behavior for a period of time to reset those dopamine reward pathways. And that's what's called dopamine fasting. And I talk about that in my book, in my forthcoming book. But then the key is, after we've reset those reward pathways, if we want to re-engage with that drug, we need to set up barriers because the drugs are intrinsically reinforcing. So things like setting time limits in the morning. I'm not going to look at my phone until after I've exercised, made my bed, and had breakfast and brushed my teeth, right? Or I'm going to, before I open up my laptop, and when I'm done with those things, then I'm going to let myself look at YouTube. Or I'm going to have two separate computers. This computer is going to be my work computer, and that computer is going to be for gaming, which I'll reward myself with later, with time limits. So this is the way we need to start thinking about these things. Fundamentally, we need to recognize that social media and other online activities are a drug. They are a drug. They are inherently reinforcing. They were engineered to be like that. And so we have a vulnerability to become addicted to them, just like we would to alcohol, cannabis, or cocaine.